You may be wondering why they got a claim to fame. It's 'cause the name of the game is not to do the same thing. Living right, living right. Obedience is better than a sacrifice. Obey. Everybody obey. Everybody obey. The devil will start to pay the day we obey. Samson and Delilah were quite hot item. He teased her with a riddle, but in the end she got him. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eye, cost a man his freedom and made him go blind. You may think that's a mighty high price to pay, but the name of the game is not to do the same thing. Living right, living right. Obedience is better than a sacrifice. Obey. Everybody obey. Everybody obey. The devil will start to pay the day we obey. Jehovah doesn't have to prove to us he's tough. God is full of mercy, but enough is enough. You may go on for years and turn around to see you're held with the cords of your own iniquity. Jesus was a man who obeyed unto the death. He forgave everybody with his dying breath. He healed the sick and he preached to the poor. Made his mark on this world like nobody had before. You may think that's impossible to do today, but the name of the game is just to do the same thing. Living right, living right. Obedience is better than a sacrifice. Obey. Everybody obey. The devil will start to pay the day we owe. Shoo-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bay. Obey, 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 baby, baby, obey, obey. Everybody obey. The devil will start to pay the day we obey. The devil will start to pay the day we obey. The devil's got hell to pay the day we obey. Obey, 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 obey. Where do I belong? My place with the sun. Is it far or near? Lord, make my path clear. Hello, people. Uh-oh, that turned off too abruptly. Okay, my question today is, are you in it for the like? I heard that on the Equalizer, and we'll talk in just a minute about what that is. Along the way. Okay. My name is Amanda McDowell. You can find me on YouTube under Amanda McDowell or Hummer's Publishing, HUMMERZZZ Publishing. That's my publishing company, and I am a moral blogographer that tells you true stories through video about their personal triumphs and failures to make you a better person and teach you about life, faith, and God. That is my mission, and here is my mission statement. My purpose is to encourage you to take responsibility for who you are and what you believe,
Choose to believe what God has told you and walk in it. Now, here's the thing, people. You can't always find who you really are in the Bible. How many of you know that God is bigger than His Word? He plants the Word in you. That's what you have to walk in. I will never forget when I was 3 times a week and 24-hour-a-day Christian, going to church all the time, and I was in a really abusive situation, and I was just sure the church would come to my rescue. But they didn't, because Mama Mac, I had to learn how to stand up for myself. I had to learn how to start walking in what God was telling me. And that was one of the biggest life lessons I ever learned, and turned into such a blessing. Not without consequences. But I get to be who I am today because I took up for myself 20 years ago. So this is me trying to help you figure out how to stand up for yourself and become who God has called you to be, whether you see any likeness of it in the Bible or not. You're the book of Jeremiah. You're the book of Ruth. You're the book of Naomi. You're the book of Shakayla. You're the book of Bryson. You're the book of you, who God has made you be. So that is my goal in life, is to help you. That's the reason for this vlog. So on the Equalizer the other night, I heard the Equalizer is Queen Latifah, and it's her new series. And by the way, great job, Queen Latifah. But her daughter, she's working for the CIA, but also like becoming her own superhero. She is helping people that don't have anybody else to turn to, including the police. And believe me when I tell you, that kind of situation can really happen. And so she's really pretty talented with her superpowers of being able to catch the bad guy and make sure he gets turned in while remaining incognito like Batman. So anyway, I love the series so far. And her daughter, she was upset because her daughter and her daughter's best friend weren't hanging out anymore until her daughter finally told her that she, stopped hanging around her best friend because her friend was doing stuff, not because that's who she was, but because she was in it for the like. And that's what I have a question to you about today. What are you doing that you're just doing it for the like? You're not doing it really for the Facebook like. You're not really doing it because that's really who you are. And so let's talk about that for a little while. Do you know who you are and what you like? Are you, another perfect example is Runaway Bride. And in that story, the runaway bride, without getting into too much detail, goes to the altar with all of these guys and then leaves them at the altar. And the reason she does it is because that's not really who she is. She knows how to chameleon. I knew how to chameleon so well when I was young. I fit into this group. I fit into that group. And why was I trying to fit? Why was I trying to get so much acceptance? I didn't need it, but I thought I did. And at the same time, I really didn't know who I was. So I found out who I wasn't. And that's my first advice to you. If you don't know who you are, find out who you're not. It turns out I like pretty much all kinds of music, except music that says stuff like I want to kill, I want to destroy, I want to steal your soul. I don't like that. I like pretty much all kinds of music except destructive music. And whether that's metal or what, the words are really important to me. So you can have a heavy metal song with a positive attitude. I would say the majority of them don't have a positive attitude. But heavy metal I found out, is not my thing. And it doesn't have to be, because I love so many other genres. What do you like? Start out with your music, because that can lead you to finding out more who your tribe is, who you belong with. Did you know that the number one reason that two people do not go on a second date has to do with a person's music, because it turns out that's super important. I was married to a guy who only liked R&B at one time. I was married to another guy who only liked country gospel. I was married to a guy who liked the same things I liked, but it turns out he liked drugs way better than I did. I realized very early in my life I was not an alcoholic. I have on my it used to be like on my third drink I was going to puke. Well, I've gained a tolerance a little bit. Now it's on my fourth drink. All my friends can attest to you. On my fourth drink, I'm going to puke, and it doesn't matter what I'm drinking. My body says absolutely not. So I am not an alcoholic. I found out I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a drug addict. I don't like to do drugs all the time. I don't like it. I like being a regular person. So being in the drug culture, that was never my thing. But it is some people's thing. And you also have to find out what can destroy you, what your kink is. I want to call it your kink, because everybody has a kink. You can act like you don't have a kink, but you in denial because you got a kink because your name is not Jesus. If your name was Jesus, he's the only person on this earth that did not have any kinks. So you have to deal with your kink. You have to find out what your weakness is, what is going to destroy you. I already told you in another video what my weakness was, so you can look that back up if you want to. But anyway, find out what your kink is. Find out what your weakness is. Find out what your strength is. What are you really good at? It turns out I'm really good at teaching kids how to read. And for the past 28 years in my life, I've had respites from that. I've had like diversions, like where I teach music, which I did for 7 years, where I teach pre-K, which I did for 7 years. But invariably, the Lord always brings me back to teaching kids how to read. I happen to be really good at it. So, and teaching kids comprehension, and teaching kids that they can, encouraging kids to find out what they like, who they are, encouraging them to become who they're called to be. That's who I am. That's what I love. So, next thing. It's one thing for a high schooler to ask their best friend what they like. It's another when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you still don't know. That's because you are pleasing so many people that you haven't taken the time to listen to yourself. You have to listen to yourself. Who are you? I come across this all the time. I DJ at La Bamba, and these college girls and these college guys come in, and it's their birthday, and they're turning 21, and they get a free shot of Patron, and then they also get their favorite song played. And sometimes the kids will write me notes about who this person is, and they will, and I'll talk about who they are while they're drinking their shot. Some of them are drinking it right away because they're used to it. Others are like, I don't know if I can drink this or not. But it's all who they are. So invariably, at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, I will ask a college student who is turning 21 what their favorite song is. And they'll do this. I don't know. Well, what's my favorite song, y'all? They don't even know what their favorite song is. That's like asking somebody what your favorite sexual position is. Don't you know? I mean, it's okay to experiment, but experiment and then listen to yourself. Be intuitive. Listen to yourself. What is your gut saying? Is it saying that you're gay? Okay. Are you ready to accept it? Is it saying you're a transsexual? Are you ready to accept it? Is it saying that you are someday going to be the president of the United States? Are you willing to accept it? Is it saying is the spirit inside you saying that you need to become a doctor and you don't even have the grades for it? Are you willing to accept it and start walking in what God has told you to be? Because God knows you better than anybody. He knows you better. He knows what's going to, deep down in your heart of hearts, He knows what's going to make you happy. And He doesn't want you sad and self-rejecting all your life. He does not. He can make a way where there is no way. He can make a way for you to become what He wants you to be when everybody in the whole wide world is telling you you're not. You know what I am? I'm a praiser. The good Lord told me that. He showed me that. And it does not matter how many people tell me they hate my music. How many people tell me my music is too old. How many people reject it? It doesn't matter because I don't care. What does God say I am? God said He wanted me to be a teacher. I rejected that. I was like, oh, Lord, no, you don't want me to be a teacher. I will kill them because I got me a temper problem. Turns out, not so much. Not so much. Turns out I'm really good at it. Turns out He could turn my weakness into a strength because then going into the 3rd grade, I couldn't read myself. So I understand what it's like to not believe in yourself. Who are you? What do you like? Well, that's all I got. Find out who you are. If you can't figure out who you are, find out who you're not. My name is Amanda McDowell. I hope you subscribe. You can look up YouTube.
Israel was chosen as a people blessed, but they kept on complaining, giving God a test. Punished in the desert 40 years for doubt. They would never seek Him till they had to do without. You may